G'day Bomber fans, how about that for Essendon Edge? The wheels have well and truly fallen off. I don't even know if we replaced them after last year. It's deja vu. This weak club continues to serve up this rubbish year after year. I'm just thankful I didn't get sucked into the hope after that early season form like others probably did. What a putrid, ugly game of footy. The year is done. The fans are obviously outraged. Let me know what you think down below. Give your votes. Let's just get into what promises to be a very fun review. I'm sick, by the way, so bear with me while I sound like this. Alright, well, the first term started well. We kicked some early goals, as we often do. We looked like we wanted to play. We had an early lead. It was fun for a moment, but the Saints managed to pile on 5 in a row, which seems like nothing in hindsight. They led the opening term by 3 goals despite our fast start. The second term was a lot better. We showed heart to fight back after losing momentum. We kicked 3 very fast goals, including a Merit Goal of the Year contender, which was probably the only highlight of the day. They led at half-time by a little bit less than what they led at quarter-time by. That third quarter was, I don't even know what that was. At one stage, they had 8 goals in a row. It was just embarrassing. It was like we were playing prime Geelong. You could only sit back and shake your head as a fan. It was a lifeless quarter of footy that capped off a lifeless performance from the boys. That third was horrible. I'm sure there were plenty of TVs turned off after that. And by the time the fourth came around, the damage was already done. It was an even quarter, but only because the game was already lost. The Saints took their foot off the gas. We never really had it on the gas. We ended up losing against the bottom 4 Saints by 53 points. Horrible game, nightmare game, genuine nightmare. So we got to talk about it, unfortunately, what went wrong. Alright, let's start with some praise. Obviously, not for us, but for any rogue Saints fans making their way here. That was as complete a performance as I've seen from the Saints in quite some time. They made us look really silly. We were 8th at the time of playing, and they were bottom 4. That should be reversed. They were the better team with a better game style. They completely killed us. Their pressure was immense. They did well to restrict our uncontested footy. That's the blueprint. They saw the Crows kill us last week in that area. They won up Adelaide and had a glorified training drill. They were professional and played a game that would hold up against great teams. We didn't. Honestly, looking at that margin, 53 points, they should have won by more. They were ruthless, they were brutal. As bad a day as this was for us, because it was a very bad day, it was a great day for them. So hats off to St Kilda, hats off to guys like Rowan Marshall and Cooper Sharman and Jack Steele. They were brilliant. But let's now talk about how awful we were, or are, I guess. Alright, on to us. It's tough to know where to begin. I guess effort is a good place to start. As soon as the Saints started to get on top, we dropped our heads. I think we had one really strong 5-minute period after quarter time, and that was about it for the rest of the game. We just looked second-rate against a team that's been second-rate all year. We didn't even look second-rate, we looked bloody 5th-rate. Our pressure was abysmal. The Saints found it so easy to walk the ball out of stoppages or out of defence. Imagine if we were playing a genuinely good team, a top 8 team, the way we did. I genuinely think if this was against Sydney or Brisbane, we would have lost by in excess of 150 points. We were horrible, just not up for the fight. And the worrying thing is, our season was on the line. St Kilda are playing for nothing right now. They can't make finals. They're done. We needed to win this game, and we served that up. That's just weak. It's easy to say we were outworked. It's a bit of a cop-out to sometimes say that the other team was just harder at it, but that was genuinely a big part of the game here. The Saints had 281 sprint efforts, which is a pretty standard to high amount. We had 217. That is a good 60 or 70 times in the match where St Kilda were running harder for longer than us. That has to be looked at. The boys just gave up. It was horrible to watch. They also covered 6 more kilometres than us as well, and rather selfishly, our average speed in attacking transition was higher than theirs, but their average speed working back was much better than ours, and in the end that's what decided the game. Similar amounts of inside 50s, similar amounts of clearances. Territory wasn't an issue for us, but the Saints just always had more cover than we did in their defensive half, and that is because they outworked us and actually pressured us into poor entries. If you hit the scoreboard, you could have tuned into the game at any stage and figured out who the hungrier team was. There are no excuses for the lack of effort we showed in such an important game. We talked the talk all week about how ready we were, but when it came to walking the walk, we just crumbled, as we have for so many years. It was embarrassing to see a lack of effort in such an important game. I hope the boys are absolutely seething watching that vision back. Alright, our defence is just a mess. Both defending transition, which has been such a big issue for so long, and also just inside 50 as well. Looking at the scoreboard, 23 St Kilda scoring shots to 15 from Essendon, 20 marks inside 50 to 7, but we had more inside 50s. Explain that one to me. Explain how they almost averaged a mark from every 2 inside 50s. Cooper Sharman himself had 5 marks inside 50. Essendon as a team had 7, and it wasn't just them fighting space, which they did far too easily. It was individuals being completely bullied by unknown players. We had 5 contested marks, they had 16. How do we play such a tall team under the roof at Marvel but lose out so badly in the air? I wasn't worried about the aerial battle. I knew we would get outworked on ground level because we were so tall, but I thought we could at least get an advantage in the air. We had Draper, Wright, Cox, Jones, Caddy, Ben Mackay, Ridley, Carl Langford. All those guys had 2 contested marks between them. I don't want to bag individuals, but some of our defenders were horrible. Ben Mackay had a shocker. Laverty was getting bullied. And even when Ridley went off, we struggled to keep their third tier forwards down because we just don't have good enough coverage down there. There was nowhere for us to hide. They shut out our uncontested game. They were better when the ball was hot, and they killed us in the air. 20 marks inside 50 is ridiculous. And the thing is, we were often playing with an extra number in defense like we have been for most of the year. It's why the Saints had so many numbers around the contest at times, were extra numbers. But the fact that they found so much space inside 50 despite having less players there, that is just, it's mind-boggling to me. I really don't know what's happened to our ball use. It's a mess. We went at around 6% less for disposal efficiency, which is very bad. And inside 50, we went at 37% while they were at 65. Even our effective disposals were putting teammates under pressure. I could count about 5 or 6 times that Caldwell did that. Half volleys, same with Stringer. I'm picking on them because they're senior players. It was a team-wide issue though. We are so reliant on Zach Merritt and Nick Martin for good ball use, especially when Ridley went down. That third quarter, we couldn't find a mark at all. We keep drafting guys like Sartas and Hobbs and Parrish and Perkins. I don't know why we haven't gone for a good ball user in the last 5 or 10 years. Nothing against those guys, they're strong in other areas, but it just means we have to rely on those poorer ball users around the ground more because we just don't have enough talent in open play. And the thing is, we wouldn't be talking about our bad ball use if we actually found meaningful territory. The Saints don't have good ball users in the guts really, but they at least were damaging from their clearances, and when they weren't, they were at least penetrating and causing chaos. I have become so used to those high up and under kicks inside 50. Our ball use was a strength early in the year. Now we've been found out and have no plan B. There is a reason why we are a high inside 50 team but low scoring. It's because we simply cannot kick the footy well enough. It's basic but true. I want to talk more about our uncontested game and our just brand as a whole. It's good when it works, our uncontested footy. It's not great. It's good. We beat some alright teams. We struggled against great ones. But the last few weeks have shown us how easy it is to play against the Bombers. That St Kilda zone was just impossible to play through, and they played us the way we played teams earlier in the year. This is what we could be like in games if we were actually ruthless at our best. This is what oppositions would have felt like playing us, just not able to get control of the ball. They Uno reversed us but actually played a ruthless brand, because right now we just don't have a brand. This has been my worry for a few weeks. I've said it once or twice. We are so unable to adapt to a different game style when the match is not being played the way we want, and we are so bad at getting the game back on our terms consistently. We just don't have a brand or a style right now as a team. It's really worrying. We've been found out and made to look like a bottom 4 team. I reckon based on form, we could be down in the bottom 4 or 6, honestly. We just look hopeless. It's a lifeless footy team right now. Ross the Boss won that game in the coach's box. Selection again, and I don't think selection was the issue, by the way. You'd be pretty silly to be saying we lost the game at selection, but I do want to talk about it, where we're yet to reward guys like Roberts and Hobbs who are playing well in the VFL, yet we continue to persist with Archie Perkins, who hasn't shown anything in months. We played an underdone Darcy Parish. This happened last year. We talked all year about only playing guys when they're ready to play. I don't want to hear anything about Parish being ready to play in that game. He was absolutely nowhere. I really hope we actually make a statement at selection next week. I'm recording this early, so I don't know what's happening in the reserves, but Archie Roberts needs to play AFL soon. We need to reward these young guys. We're going to lose players like Brian and Sartas and Hobbs if we keep persisting with guys like Perkins and Menzies when they're playing poorly. Only one team this year has used less players than us, and that is Sydney. They're first on the ladder. They can do whatever they want. We're about to be out of the 8 and we've only used 33. Get some of these guys ready for the big time now so we can actually trust them to come into the side when games need to be won. It's why we lost Massimo D'Ambrosio. I could think of 6 or 7 players that could be dropped after that game. If I only see 1 or 2 changes, I'm going to be fuming. That 23 is just not giving us what we need. Ridley obviously was subbed out with a hip injury, so that could come into play. We'll see how serious that is, but I want to see guys like Perkins, Menzies, Wright, Gresham, Parrish feel some heat. There were too many passengers. I'm not saying they should all be dropped, but even guys like Langford and Caddy are just not giving us enough right now. Our dual wings, are they working? Is this really going to benefit the team in the long term? Is Draper good enough to ruck on his own? We need to see something change with this team. I don't even know where we go from here as a club. The season started with so much promise, but then again, so did 2023. We are the most untrustworthy team in the competition, and that's not a hot take at all. We show promise, give the fans hope, and then crumble for no apparent reason. We should be fit enough. We have a near fully fit list, no real injury worries. I don't think it's an issue with our fitness department or training standards. This is all above the shoulders. We are mentally weak and have been for years. We are a weak club who just won't be feared until we actually show we can be. Even when we were playing well, we were just scraping by, and maybe that plays a big part in this drop-off. We made it so hard for ourselves during the year with our wins, never had an easy match. It means that we just become mentally exhausted. We don't look physically exhausted, we look mentally checked out. And it's weird to be mentally checked out when the season's on the line. I feel like there's a disconnect in the group. Look at the fun that other teams are having, like Hawthorn and Brisbane, even North. North look more connected than us. We really don't look like a team at all. I don't know why that is. I don't know how it can be fixed either. There are just serious issues and problems with this club that I don't see being fixed anytime soon. I hope I'm wrong, but I just do not see this group having success while they're so mentally fragile. I'd be disappointed, but understand a performance like this after the season is done. But this game was so important to us, and we dished that up. It's embarrassing to be an Essendon fan right now. It's been embarrassing to be an Essendon fan for 20 odd years. I've never been alive to see a genuinely good Essendon side. What a mess of a club. Let's just get on to some votes and end this video. I'm going to run through these because I don't actually think there were many deserving of votes. I'm going to give basically on effort. Nick Martin, 1 vote. He was everywhere, running his backside off. He covered the most distance and had some dangerous moments. Our skipper gets 2. We do not deserve to have Zach Merritt on our list. He's just far too good for this club. And Xavier Dersma, I thought he was genuinely good. He was one of a few Bombers that genuinely gave effort. The role player, Sam Durham, I guess. I don't know. I thought he had some good moments, but I don't even think he played that well, if I'm being honest. A lot of his best work came when it didn't really matter, so who knows? I can't really be stuffed giving votes. Give yours down below if you can be stuffed. That is that. Funnily enough, the season isn't done yet technically. We can still make finals, but I'm not going to be holding out any hope. I'm happy to see us just blood some debutants, give Roberts a go, maybe someone like Hayes. I don't know. I'm happy to say that season over. I'd love to be randomly proven wrong, but I doubt I will. Cheers for watching, and sorry you had to watch that game. We deserve a lot better as a fan base. Like, subscribe, and go Bombers.